Hey, it's Kate from Prenursing Smarter, and today we're going to do a TEAS English study guide. My goal is to help busy students like you succeed in your nursing and allied health programs. Today we're going to talk about what to cover for the TEAS English section, topic by topic, how to study it, including some must-know tips, and then we'll go over some examples to put it in action. The TEAS English section has 37 total questions in 37 total minutes. You have 1 minute to answer every English question. You'll have 12 questions on spelling and punctuation, 11 questions on grammar, and 10 questions on expression, vocabulary, and putting ideas together. You'll also have 4 questions that aren't scored, and you won't know what those are. They'll be mixed in with all your other questions. Now let's take a look at what to study for the TEAS English section. So spelling and punctuation. This covers kind of a lot, but a lot of it is spelling rules you maybe already know, examples of frequently misspelled words, and correct spelling for weird plural words like ova and ovum. There's also knowing spelling of homophones and homographs. These are words that sound or are written alike but have different meanings. So bat, the mammal that flies in the sky, versus bat that's used in baseball. Next, you'll be using commas with phrases, clauses, and lists. And then this is huge, using correct punctuation for simple, compound, complex, and compound complex sentences. And we'll talk more about this soon. Punctuating quotations, working with clauses, phrases, and also recognizing different parts of speech like nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, interjections, all that good stuff. In my TEAS Prep program, I have a whole list of commonly misspelled words that you should know for the TEAS, and homophones and homographs, as well as flashcards to help you memorize these parts of speech. I'd recommend starting first with spelling, flashcards, and word lists. Start getting familiar with those commonly misspelled words, homophones and homographs, and also defining parts of speech and punctuation marks. So what does a comma do? What does a hyphen do? What does a colon do? And I have all of these available in my TEAS Prep program already done for you. You can check it out, including in my free preview. There should be some good stuff there to help you with TEAS English. Once you've done that, go to recognizing clauses. Clauses can be independent, which means that they can stand on their own and they have a subject, verb, and complete thought, or dependent clauses, which means they have a subject and a verb but don't have a complete thought. So getting practice recognizing those clauses and then building to punctuating clauses with commas and semicolons. That's a really great skill to know for the TEAS. Next step is learning about predicate and direct and indirect objects, as well as colons and quotation. These are generally more difficult for students, but it's not as an emphasized skill on the TEAS. For grammar and clarity, this will be building on what you've already studied with spelling and punctuation. Some of this is verb tenses, past, present, future, progressive, and perfect, adding transition words, phrases, and sentences. Next is all about correcting fragments and run-on sentences. Fragments are incomplete sentences. They might be missing a verb, a subject, or a complete thought. Run-on sentences are two sentences that are joined together that shouldn't be. So usually they have a subject, verb, complete thought, subject, verb, complete thought, and they aren't properly separated. On the TEAS, you might be asked directly to correct these or to identify that it's a fragment or a run. Next is pronoun antecedent agreement. This is tricky, but it's really one of the best things to learn for the TEAS. Subject-verb agreement is another big part. Going back to those weird plural nouns that you learned about spelling, recognizing those will help you with subject-verb agreement. And this is a new part of the TEAS 7 English section, which I think is great, and it's using language respectfully without bias and stereotype, making sure that you aren't using gendered terms and are using person-first language. When you're going to start studying for this section of TEAS English, I recommend starting with jargon, informal language, and using language respectfully. You'll see these questions on the TEAS, and it's really great to just make some lists, start getting familiar with things, and spending 10 minutes a day or every other day reviewing. Next, build to pronoun antecedent agreement and correcting fragments and run-ons. You'll need to have the foundational skills that you worked on before with clauses and plural verbs built. You can't escape this on the TEAS, so it's really great to get familiar with it and build to it as you study. Once you've got that down, you can go to evaluating and revising sentences within passages. The last section of TEAS English is expression. This could be the steps of the writing process, using citations, identifying what should be cited and why, and then word parts like prefixes, suffixes, and word root. Prefixes come at the start of the word, and suffixes come at the end, and they can change the meaning of the word or provide more context. Finally, medical terminology, you might be asked that on the TEAS, and this often combines word roots, prefixes, and suffixes as well. So if you need a place to get started, go ahead and start with medical terminology. You're possibly already in the medical field or you're going in it soon, so start there. Next, go to the writing process, then start working on suffixes and parts of speech. Finally, once you've done all that, go to using sources and citing properly. Just get some practice with this. It's not going to be as strict as your English classes, but it's good to be familiar with. We've looked at what to cover for this TEAS English Study Guide. Now let's talk about how to get started creating your TEAS study plan. The first step is gather your materials for lists and flashcards. We talked about how a lot of what you're going to be doing is memorizing word lists, memorizing spelling. So either start making your own or find some that are done for you. This would be commonly misspelled words, homophones and homographs, suffixes and prefixes, medical terminology, parts of speech and definitions, summaries of how to use punctuation marks, and those unique plural nouns. Again, I've done this for you in my TEAS prep program, but you can just go ahead and grab those lists and start making your own as well. The key for these is to spend about 10 to 15 minutes a day or every other day going over it, getting familiar with it, and committing it to memory in whatever way works best for you. Next, start practicing with clauses and sentences. This will help you build to everything. What's the difference between a phrase and a clause? Clauses have verbs, phrase don't. Knowing independent versus dependent clauses, and punctuating clauses with commas and semicolons. Next, start practicing with agreement. It can give you a little bit of a headache at first, but it's worth it. You'll need to know about collective nouns. Collective nouns can be singular or plural, depending on the context. Nothing is ever easy with English, I know. And then applying that with pronoun antecedent agreement and subject-verb agreement. Next, go through revising and evaluating. This is going to be thinking critically to apply what you've learned, adding transitions, applying the writing process, improving and revising what's written. Finally, review and build. Keep growing your skills. You'll need to practice, and build your speed. Because remember, you'll only have 1 minute per question, and you'll be tired. In my TEAS prep program, I have a whole module on 50 practice questions that are applying all of these concepts to help you gain speed. Various questions on just quotation marks, just comma use, and it will help you build your skills. Because remember, you only have 1 minute per question and you'll be tired. Now let's take a look at an example here. I just said this sentence and had it on the screen. You only have 1 minute per question and you'll be tired. I have it written out 4 different ways here. Do you know which one's right? Maybe there's more than one right. Let's go over how to do this. Okay, so the first one, you only have 1 minute per question and you'll be tired, is incorrect. This is an example of a run-on sentence. You only have 1 minute per question, comma, and you'll be tired. That's correct. This is an example of 2 independent clauses joined with a comma and a FANBOYS for and, nor, but, or, yet so. You'll only have 1 minute per question, semicolon, and you'll be tired. This is incorrect because there doesn't need to be an and. The one below it, you only have 1 minute per question, semicolon, you'll be tired, is correct because you're joining 2 related independent clauses with a semicolon. You can see at the bottom I have subject is in teal, verb is in pink, and complete thought is in blue. So I've color-coded everything, and you have 2 independent clauses. The first is you only have 1 minute per question, and the second independent clause is you'll be tired. Both of these have a subject, verb, and a complete thought. Then it becomes how do you grammatically connect these? The first is a run-on sentence. The second one uses a comma and coordinating conjunction correctly. The third one is using a semicolon correctly, but it shouldn't use the coordinating conjunction. And then the fourth one uses a correct semicolon. So that's the end of this TEAS English Study Guide. I hope it helped you. And if you're interested in more, you can check out my free preview or my prep program, and I'll put some links in the description box to help you with your TEAS English studying. Please help me grow this channel and hit that subscribe button. Keep up the great work with your TEAS prep, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.